I've been trying to figure out why you are so convinced they don't care. And I think I finally get it. You've mistaken their silence for a lack of feeling. But the truth is, it's the complete opposite. The silence isn't empty, it's full. It's so damn full of emotion that if they opened their mouth, the whole dam would break, and they are not sure either of you would survive the flood. You think they feel nothing. They actually feel too much, and that's what we are going to talk about today. There is this very specific moment of panic I want you to remember. Maybe it was during an argument, or maybe it was just a quiet Thursday afternoon when the air in the room shifted. You looked at them, and for a split second, you saw something flicker behind their eyes. A raw, terrified vulnerability. But just as fast as it appeared, a steel door slammed shut, and suddenly you were looking at a stranger, cold, distant, maybe even a little cruel. You've replayed that moment in your head 1,000 times, and every time you analyze it, you land on the same painful confusion. They shut down because they just don't want you. That flicker of emotion wasn't love. You tell yourself. It was disgust, or annoyance, or simply the final confirmation that you are just not enough for them to stick around. But what if I told you that your brain is lying to you? What if that steel door didn't slam shut because there was nothing there, but because there was too much? We do this thing as humans. It's a weird little glitch in our operating system where we assume the external behavior of others is a direct mirror of our own worth. They don't text back, so we must be unlovable. They look away when we get too close, so we must be repulsive. But what if they look away because your light is so blindly bright that it physically hurts their unhealed eyes? I know that sounds like a cliche, like something people say to make you feel better, but stick with me here because that's not what this is. I mean, let's sit with that silence for a second. That the one that terrifies you, you've probably convinced yourself it's indifference. But here's the thing I need you to really hear. Their silence isn't a lack of interest, it's a lack of oxygen. Because your energy literally takes their breath away. And that's not some fluffy, poetic nonsense. That is the psychological reality of what happens when someone is so overwhelmed by the sheer magnitude of your presence, your depth, your intuition, your refusal to settle for shallow crap, that their nervous system just shut circuit. They go mute because the words I love you feel too small. I want you feels too predatory, and I'm terrified of losing you feels too pathetic. So they say nothing, and you feel that nothing with the worst possible story about yourself. I want you to imagine you are walking down a street and you see a house. From the outside, it looks perfect. Fresh paint, solid roof, a little welcome mat. That's the person you are dealing with. That's the exterior they show the world. But you are not the kind of person who stays on the porch. You have this something about you, this intuitive, deep, maybe overly empathetic way of moving through the world. You walked right up to their front door, and you didn't just knock. You pressed your ear against the wood, and you heard the screaming inside. You heard the chaos and the crying and the structural damage in the walls. And because you are you didn't just pretend it wasn't happening. You pointed at the door and said, "Hey, I can hear something in there. The foundation is cracked. Why the hell are you pretending the house isn't on fire?" And that moment right there, that's the moment you triggered their childhood wounds. I know that's a big term, childhood wounds. But I don't mean you annoyed them. I mean you touched a piece of them that was formed when they were 5 years old, the first time they felt rejected or unsafe. You didn't just bring a flashlight into their dark house. You flipped on the floodlights, revealing every cobweb and every crack they have spent a lifetime hiding. See, you think they feel hate for you because they ran. You think they feel resentful because you saw through them. But how they actually feel is exposed. And for someone who has built their entire identity on that perfect, flashy, painted exterior feeling exposed, feels like dying. It feels like the eager death that everyone talks about, but nobody really wants. I'm having one of those moments right now where I'm feeling like I'm trying to find the right word for this. It's like you shining that light into their house wasn't just you being mean or dramatic. It was a service, actually. And somewhere buried under the panic and the anxiety and the defensiveness, they know that. That's actually why they are running. Not because they hate you, but because you didn't just break their heart. You broke their self-concept. You force them to feel the weight of their own potential. And that's heavy. It's heavy. It's a heavy thing to carry. And honestly, they are terrified of how much they feel, because loving you means they have to surrender every wall they have ever built to protect themselves. I'm not just talking about the wall they built against you. I'm talking about walls they constructed in 3rd grade when their parents fought, walls they reinforced in high school when their first love humiliated them, walls they have been plastering over with workaholism or aloofness or people-pleasing for decades. To let you in would mean watching every single one of those defenses turn to dust. And that is an annihilation level event for the ego. So they freeze, they hide, not because they don't love you, but because loving you is a demolition contract they didn't sign up for, even if they desperately need the renovation. And here is where it gets strange. You'd think logically, if you bring someone a moment of clarity, they'd thank you for it, right? But the ego doesn't work like that. The second you became that mirror for them, you became the most dangerous and most necessary person in their universe. There is this unspoken dynamic that starts playing out. The energy you are giving off right now, or the energy you are trying to hold, it's the energy of I don't chase, I attract. You are pulling your attention back. You are in your black cat energy, minding your own business, licking your own wounds, focusing on your own healing. And you know what you think they are thinking while you do this? You think they are thinking, finally, that crazy person is gone. The drama is over. I can go back to my peace. You've probably even convinced yourself that they are relieved to be rid of you. They aren't. They are not. Because retreating to your corner of the ring, stepping back into your quiet, mysterious power, that's doing something to them right now that you wouldn't believe. They are feeling a pull. It's a visceral, aching, gut-wrenching pull, and they are trying to intellectualize it. They are trying to logic their way out of it, because feeling you means feeling everything. It means feeling the thing you pointed out. So they are sitting there in the dark of their messy house, staring at the door you just walked out of, and they are frozen. It's not that they don't want to open the door and run after you. It's that the house is so destroyed. They are so ashamed of it that they don't think you'd ever want to come back inside. And I mean, you know how sometimes you get a thought in your head that feels like intuition, but then your logic kicks in and says you're just being delusional. They hate you. You're obsessed. Move on. This is where I'm going to pause because I feel like I'm getting a download. This is literally what they are doing too. Mirroring. They're thinking about you, and then that same toxic inner critic they have yells at them. It says, you're not worthy of them. It says, look how stable and powerful they look on social media, focusing on themselves. They are way better off without a mess like you. That's why the silence is loud. That's why if you are talking to this person, they could be holding back. It's not because they are playing games. It's because they are literally protecting you from their own energy. They feel like a poison, and you're the antidote. And they are terrified of contaminating you by asking you to do more work. I can feel some of you pushing back on this. I can hear you saying, if they loved me, they would just do the work. If they wanted to, they would just show up. And look, in a black and white world, you'd be right. But we don't live there. We live in a world where people drown in shame. They drown in that feeling of you saw through me. You specifically saw that they are, underneath the mask, incredibly insecure, that they lack the family support you might have, or that they never had the emotional vocabulary you have. You, the Empress energy they have never encountered before, showed them what real love looks like. Not the enabling, codependent stuff, but the brutal, honest. I want you to be whole stuff. And that threw them into an existential spiral. I went on a tangent corner, but I need to circle back to that metaphor we started with. That house they are sitting in, because this is where it gets deep. The foundation is cracked. There is mold in the walls. The roof is leaking. They know they can't invite you back into this, and they know that you, being a person of high standards, which you've asserted with your boundaries, will not come back to this mess. So they have picked up a hammer. They have started their renovation. I know you can see it, because from the outside it looks exactly the same. From the outside it still looks like a silent, abandoned house. But the renovation is internal. It's quiet. It's them wrestling with the deep spiritual lessons you left them with. The lesson of wait, why do I self-sabotage? The lesson of why do I push away anything that feels real? And this renovation is slow. It's so frustratingly, painfully, 2 steps forward, 1 step back, slow. And they're so anxious about the time it's taking. They see you out there, living your life, focused on your abundance, claiming your purpose, and they are terrified. They have this script running in their head. The clock ticking that they are too late. They're thinking, they have released me. They have truly finally cleansed me from their energy. And while a part of them wants that for you, another part of them just whispers, wait, please, don't go where I can't find you. Let me just fix one more thing in this broken down house so I have something stable to offer you. I do feel like this person wants to start over with you. It's a genuine, piercing desire for a fresh start, but you can start over on a correct foundation. You have to tear the whole thing down to the start first. And that's what this separation, this silence is. It's a demolition phase. I know. You're probably feeling that familiar anger rise up, that how dare they feeling, because you showed them your love. You handed them a blueprint for a perfect, stable house, and they lit the blueprint on fire out of fear. But here's the shift, the awakening, the thing that changes everything. You have to understand that the love you gave wasn't the weapon that hurt them. It was the standard. It was the highest standard of unconditional, authentic connection they had ever seen, and it showed them exactly how impoverished their own internal world was. They are not running from you. They are running from the feeling of being a fraud. So where does this leave you? You are standing outside the wreckage. The space between you is this painful silent void, the imbalance of what was being exchanged has been totally reset. You've taken your given hands back. You've channeling that nurture into your own empire, your own body, your own life. They feel this. They feel your absence like a missing limb. I'm seeing this vision of them reaching out from under the rubble, wanting to show you that They are fixing it, but pulling their hand back because their fingers are still dirty. They want to come to you in a white suit, completely spotless, but healing doesn't work that way. Healing means showing up with the dirt under your nails. Healing means saying, I don't have a perfect home for you yet, but I'm actively building it, and I want you to see the frame. And look, I need to be real with you for a second. I'm sitting here and I feel that knot in my throat. That's their anxiety. That's them choking on the words. You make me want to be a better person. It's not just a cheesy line from a movie. It's a terrifying admission, because saying that means admitting they were not good enough before. Saying that means admitting you were right. They see you embodying the Empress. You standing in your power, so focused and loyal to yourself. And they are just hoping desperately, silently, that the re-evaluation of their life that you force them into isn't going to end with a door in their face. The truth is, they feel too much. They feel too much fear, too much shame, too much love, too much hope. Their cup isn't empty, it's overflowing, but it's messy. And they are frantically trying to clean the spilled water before you notice it got the floor wet. But here's the part that breaks me. The part that breaks my heart open for you. The reason they act like they don't care is that if they let even one drop of their true feelings out, they will drown in the ocean of how much they actually want you. I'm telling you, it's a whole vast, terrifying sea inside them. And the cool, detached act, that's just the flimsiest, most desperate little life raft. They are kicking underneath the surface, frantic and alone, hoping you won't see them, splashing. That's the secret. That's the silent, drenched, exhausted truth they go to bed with every single night. There is a very strong masculine facing part of them, a protector, a builder that is emerging from the rubble, and it's saying, enough of the insecurity, enough of the fear. They are reaching a point where the fear of losing you forever is starting to eclipse the fear of being vulnerable. There is a determination there. It's a quiet, steady, deliberate energy. And when they do show up, you are going to see, you're not going to see the person you argued with. The ego will be withered. The mask will be off. You're going to see the terrified 5-year-old who is finally brave enough to put down the armor. They are not coming to tell you they fixed everything. They are coming to sit in the messy, half-renovated living room with you, to turn on their flashlights themselves and to say, look, I'm still working, but can you see the progress? Can you see that I've been listening? Can you see that it's always been you? The silence is ending. The renovation is nearing a point of safety. There is a light at the end of this long, dark tunnel, and it's their soul, finally, fully illuminated, walking towards home.